On a moonless night in September 1996, the maximum security walls of California State Prison held a secret that was about to explode. This is the extraordinary story of Reggie Cole, a man who would orchestrate one of the most daring prison escapes in modern history. A tale that would not only challenge the integrity of America's prison system, but would expose the dark underbelly of justice itself. For 13 years, these concrete walls were Reggie Cole's entire world. Convicted of a murder he didn't commit, Cole's tale isn't just about breaking free, it's about breaking a system that had already broken him. Every morning, as the sun crawled across his 6x8 cell, Cole would trace the cracks in the ceiling, each line a reminder of the life stolen from him. The guards called him the Ghost, always watching, always calculating. But what they didn't know was that behind those observant eyes, a master plan was taking shape. Every guard rotation, every maintenance schedule, every shift change, all becoming pieces of an intricate puzzle. Cole wasn't just watching. He was learning, adapting, becoming one with the prison's rhythm. In the depths of night, when even the most hardened inmates succumbed to sleep, Cole would lie awake, his mind racing through calculations. The prison's blueprint had become etched in his consciousness, every measurement memorized with scientific precision. His cell, B-234, sat exactly 47 feet from the outer wall. For most, this was just another measurement in an endless sea of concrete. For Cole, it was the first coordinate in an impossible equation, an equation that would need to be solved if he ever wanted to taste freedom again. The preparation began 3 years before his eventual escape. Using nothing but a dull prison-issued spoon and unwavering determination, Cole began his impossible task. Night after night, as his fellow inmates slept, he carved through the decades-old concrete. Each scrape brought him closer to his goal, each handful of powder disposed of with meticulous care. He would flush small amounts during his bathroom breaks, sprinkle some in the prison yard during exercise, even mix it with his food to dispose of the evidence. But the physical barrier wasn't his only obstacle. Cole had to navigate a labyrinth of surveillance cameras, motion sensors, and armed guards. One wrong move, one miscalculation, and his dream of freedom would end in a hail of bullets. He studied the camera's blind spots, timing their sweeps with the precision of a choreographer. Every guard's habit, every security protocol, became another variable in his elaborate formula for freedom. The prison's electrical system became his unlikely ally. Through careful observation and the knowledge gleaned from maintenance workers' casual conversations, Cole discovered the prison's archaic power infrastructure. The backup generator, installed in the 1970s, had a crucial flaw, one that would become the cornerstone of his escape plan. The night of October 15th would change everything. A severe thunderstorm knocked out the prison's backup generator, something that happened only once every few years. For Cole, it was divine intervention. The security systems would be vulnerable for exactly 47 seconds before the auxiliary power kicked in. In the world of prison breaks, 47 seconds was an eternity. During the months leading up to that fateful night, Cole had meticulously prepared his tools. Using bed sheets stolen one at a time from the laundry, he crafted a rope strong enough to bear his weight. Electrical wire, carefully stripped from his cell light during maintenance checks, became the reinforcement for his lifeline to freedom. Each component was hidden in plain sight, disguised as ordinary prison detritus. In those crucial moments, as rain pounded against the prison walls, Cole put his plan into action. The storm became his accomplice, its howling winds masking the sound of his movement, its darkness providing the perfect cover. The rope, now secured to his cell window, dangled precariously in the October wind. Years of prison workouts had prepared his body for this moment, every pull-up, every push-up leading to this test of physical endurance. The guard tower stood silent, its searchlight dancing erratically in the storm. Cole knew he had one shot, one breath between lightning strikes to make his move. The distance between freedom and captivity was exactly 23 feet of razor wire. In his mind, he had crossed this distance 1,000 times. Now, with rain soaking through his prison-issued clothes, theory would become reality. What happened next would become legend in the criminal justice system. Cole disappeared into the storm like a phantom, leaving behind nothing but questions and a perfectly executed plan that would baffle investigators for years to come. The only trace of his passage, a meticulously folded origami crane left on his pillow, a symbol of freedom that would perplex authorities for months. As dawn broke over the prison yard, chaos erupted. The guards' discovery of Cole's empty cell triggered the largest manhunt in the state's history. But Cole had vanished, melting into the sprawling urban landscape like a ghost returning to the mist. His disappearance would become the stuff of prison folklore, whispered about in cell blocks across the country. But this isn't just a story about an escape. It's about what happened after. A truth so shocking it would shake the foundations of the justice system itself. As investigators pieced together Cole's method, they uncovered something far more disturbing. Evidence that would eventually prove his innocence. Buried beneath years of bureaucratic paperwork and institutional indifference, the truth of Cole's wrongful conviction began to surface. The man who had orchestrated one of the most brilliant escapes in prison history wasn't just running from confinement, he was running toward justice. Evidence suppressed during his original trial would surface, witnesses would recant, and the truth would finally emerge from the shadows. Cole's escape, it turned out, was more than a bid for freedom. It was an act of desperate self-preservation. During his 3 years as a fugitive, Cole didn't hide in some remote cabin or flee to a foreign country. Instead, he built a quiet life, working under an assumed name at a small construction company in Oregon. His skills, honed during years of prison observation and planning, made him an excellent worker. Even while looking over his shoulder, he managed to create a semblance of the normal life that had been stolen from him. The breakthrough came from an unlikely source, a rookie public defender who stumbled upon inconsistencies in Cole's original case file. As she dug deeper, a pattern of prosecutorial misconduct emerged. Witness statements had been altered, evidence suppressed, and alibis ignored. The very system meant to protect justice had been used to subvert it. 3 years after his escape, in a twist of fate that seems almost too incredible to be true, Reggie Cole would walk back into a courtroom, not in shackles, but as a free man. The evidence that proved his innocence had finally come to light, turning his prison break into an act of desperate justice. The judge, in an unprecedented move, not only exonerated Cole, but issued a scathing indictment of the system that had failed him. Today, the cell that once held Reggie Cole stands empty, a silent testament to one man's refusal to let injustice write the final chapter of his story. His tools of escape, a spoon, some bedsheets, and an unshakable belief in his own innocence, are now housed in a museum dedicated to wrongful convictions. They stand as artifacts of both desperation and hope, reminders of the lengths one man would go to prove his truth. But perhaps the most remarkable part of Cole's story isn't how he broke out of prison. It's how he broke back into society. Now an advocate for prison reform, Cole's voice echoes through courtrooms and lecture halls, reminding us that sometimes the most powerful form of justice comes from those who have suffered its absence. His experience has become a catalyst for change, pushing for reforms in evidence handling, witness testimony, and prosecutorial oversight. The system that once sought to contain him now seeks his advice. Cole has testified before state legislatures, consulted on prison security reforms, and helped establish programs for exonerated inmates transitioning back to society. His escape, once seen as an act of defiance, is now studied as a case study in both security failures and the human spirit's capacity for survival. The walls of California state prisons still stand, their shadows a little longer, their secrets a little deeper. And somewhere within those shadows, the legend of Reggie Cole lives on, a testament to the indomitable human spirit and the eternal quest for justice. His story serves as a reminder that sometimes the greatest acts of justice come not from within the system, but from those brave enough to challenge it. In the end, Reggie Cole didn't just escape from prison, he escaped from injustice itself. His story reminds us that sometimes the most extraordinary acts of courage come not from breaking out, but from breaking free of the chains that bind us to silence. In a world where justice sometimes fails, his tale stands as a beacon of hope, proof that the human spirit, when pushed to its limits, can overcome even the most formidable barriers. As the sun sets over the prison where Cole spent 13 years of his life, his legacy continues to grow. It's a legacy not of a prison break, but of a breakthrough. A breakthrough in how we think about justice, redemption, and the power of unwavering belief in the truth. In the end, Reggie Cole's greatest escape wasn't from prison at all. It was from the shadows of injustice into the light of truth.